Hi, this is former WWE Superstar Simon Gotch, and you're listening to WNS.
You are now tuned in to the WNS podcast. For all of your wrestling info, go to WrestlingNewsSource.com or check us out on Facebook by searching WrestlingNewsSource.com or WNS Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Stitcher, and iTunes by searching Wrestling News Source Podcast or WNS Podcast. Now being broadcast in over 45 countries, here are your hosts, Daniel Herron, Tyler Abear, and Doug. That's right. What's up, everyone? I am Daniel Herron.
I'm Tyler Abear.
Doug.
And we welcome you to episode 320 of the official podcast for WrestlingNewsSource.com. For all of your information, go to WrestlingNewsSource.com. Check us out on Facebook, WrestlingNewsSource.com. You can find us on Facebook, WNS Podcast, on YouTube, WNSvideo, and on iTunes, Wrestling News Source Podcast.
We're on Stitcher, Beyond Pod, Player.fm, and Satchel. Just search Wrestling News Source Podcast to find us.
The podcast is on Twitter at WNS Podcast. Daniel's at WNS_Daniel, and Tyler's at Tyler_Aber.
There you go. So welcome to the show. Got lots to talk about this week as we're going to dive into your feedback. We're going to talk about Raw, Smackdown, some hot topics, and we have a very special interview with former WWE Superstar Simon Gotch. So you definitely want to stick around for that one. Really cool. Tyler, how you doing?
Sleeping.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You ready to knock this show out of the park? You
Knock
can go
it.
home and sleep?
I guess.
Yeah? You have fun in Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did not want
Had
to
Dave and Buster's to yourself?
Oh, man. There was hardly anyone there. During the daytime, on a weekday.
That's the time to go.
Heck yeah, man.
You got all of the tickets.
All of the tickets.
Yeah. So, cool. Doug, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah? How's life?
Certified smokified.
How's Breath of the Wild treating you?
I haven't played in about a week or so. I've just been busy.
Yeah. Life gets in the way.
Yeah.
Our boy
As we
Daniel
love.
picked up a Switch.
I did! Yay!
And he got hit with it.
No, I did not get hit. What? No, why would
A
I be
Switch.
hit with it? No, I did not. I never got
You
hit
get hit with a Switch.
No, I didn't.
Not the video game console.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It was a belt.
Yeah. Pick up a Switch in the yard.
Yeah.
So no problems with the console itself?
I did have a little trouble with the left controller, which I think that was quite common, but
Yes.
I haven't seen any issues with it since. Yeah, everything's working out fine for me now. I think there was an update or something that fixed the problem.
You picked up only one game?
Only one, yeah, just because I walked into Best Buy not expecting to buy it, and I just happened to have the money to get it as well as the game. So I was like, that'll work. That's all I need.
Which
You throw a screen protector on that motherfucker?
Not yet.
You need to.
I will.
There are
I'm being
people talking
very
about
cautious.
screen scratches with it.
Oh, really?
With inserting it.
Oh, yeah.
I would throw one on those ASAP.
someone modded a charger for the Switch. It's a Nintendo 64.
Nice.
Yeah, so they put the Switch inside the Nintendo 64.
That's pretty cool.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, what's your favorite way to play it on screen? Portable? What?
I like them both.
So have you tried all of it? Have you even tried where you set up the screen and like the little screen?
the little kickstand?
Not
and then
once.
you-
I had mine since launch day. I never once done that.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if because I would be curious because this is my opinion. Like I know with this game you're not going to do this, but with other games where people want to play, hey, let's do this, and you see in the commercial where they're setting it up and they have like a large crowd around them, but they're staying a distance away from the screen and they're playing this. Like, who would want to play like a little group game on a small screen
Right.
far away? And they're gonna, no. If you're like in like a close space, maybe, but I don't know about that.
Even then, you just hook it up to your TV.
Yeah.
End of
I
problem.
just do that. Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I'm not going to the park to say, hey, let's play some Mario Kart here.
Yeah.
It looks gorgeous, like as a handheld.
Yeah,
but I
absolutely.
never fucking played as a handheld. I mean,
I saw it
because of my lifestyle. Like, if I have time to play a game, then I'm hooking that fucker up to the TV. You know.
See,
Yeah.
I love handhelds because I've always played the DSs and stuff like that, and there's times where like we only have cable in our front room, so if there's a show that she wants to watch or whatever, and I'm playing Breath of the Wild, like hey, because I have it for Wii U, so I'm just gonna play it on
Right.
the controller. So, but I saw it on your controller, and it's it looks way better than on the Wii U. So
Yeah, I've been sort of a 50-50 so far with how I'm playing it. Excuse me. I was playing it on the big screen in the living room, which was awesome. And
it's a very pretty game.
Absolutely. And then Kelsey came home and wanted to watch one of her recorded shows, and so I'm like, okay, no problem. So I did the little handheld version and went on my way, and she watched her show. So I have no problem making the switch. But yeah, I'm loving it so far. I think it's pretty cool. So if
Play that motherfucker laying in the bed yet?
I did it last night. Actually,
how's that experience?
Quite nice.
I mean, does it get heavy on the hands or what?
Not really, just because the console itself it's fairly light.
Yeah.
And then you can just kind of rest it on your stomach and play if you don't mind tilting your head down a little bit. But because whenever I'm doing it, I rarely will hold it up. I'm sort of just resting it comfortably on my stomach. So luckily for me, I've got a big stomach. So
I've tried it in handheld just to be like, oh, this looks really nice. It looks even nicer like on the handheld because the resolution is on a smaller screen, so it looks even better. But because of my lifestyle, I don't need to do that. So
sure.
He tried the Smash Brothers Link.
Yeah, the
amiibo.
Cool. It didn't work for me.
It didn't work.
You have to go into the menu, enable that.
I did.
Then it's like it's one of your runes. Like then you put it on top of the thumbstick on that one.
Yeah, I did. And maybe I just haven't. Maybe there's like one step that I'm missing. But it pops up on the screen and it says
like a
amiibo.
Little circle. It does a little circle on the screen.
Mm-mm.
Okay. You select it as your rune, and then you press it like you're going to use the rune, and a little thing will show up on the screen.
That's what
and then
I
when
haven't
that
done.
shows up on the screen, then you put the amiibo over the thing, and then it'll drop like a chest out of the sky.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to test that out whenever I go home tonight. So, yeah. So, enjoying it so far. Looking forward to...
I'm tempted to buy amiibo because I've never used an amiibo for a game, but I'm tempted all the the shit that you can get.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to buy one.
I've seen some fucking sweet Link costumes, and I don't see the only one I have is the Bokoblin one. Because it's the one they had whenever I got my game, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get one. But all they drop is like fucking stakes and like Bokoblin weapons. I mean, they get like souped up Bokoblin weapons, but I haven't got anything cool out of it. Like and I've seen like a fucking Majora's Mask. It looks sweet and all kinds of stuff.
So all of the amiibos they've ever made can work.
I don't
for
know
this game.
I know all the 30th anniversary Zelda ones. They all have like an alternative costume.
He says the Smash Brothers Link.
Yeah.
Can work.
Okay, and I assume that's all of them, then, right? Because I know the Wolf Link actually gives you like a wolf on the screen.
You have the Smash Brothers regular Link. You have the Smash Brothers Toon Link.
No, I don't.
Oh no,
you're saying
it could
okay.
work for it.
Yeah.
Those,
got the Zelda, the Ganon,
anniversary.
I would imagine any Zelda because that
Yeah.
seems like most of them anyway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You have a majority of those. So.
Yeah, I have like Ganondorf. I have
Tear them out of those packages. What are you
Sheik.
What are you holding on to them for?
Yeah, I know, right?
Value?
Yeah, it's bullshit, man.
I got a fucking monster costume for my horse now. So like,
Yeah, you told us that's so cool, man.
no, yeah, but he's like, I had one like I had masks for me, but now I have one for my horse as well, like his own.
Oh,
mask.
really?
Yeah. It's
I like that one where you just put on that costume and walk past those enemies. Like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Heck yeah, man.
Faux show. So, excuse me. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Looking forward to putting many, many, many more hours into the game.
I'm
And,
embarrassed to say how many hours I have in, and I'm not even like a third of the way through the game.
How many? Don't be embarrassed. You're among friends.
I don't know how you see how
Like 30?
many hours.
After, it tells you on the like your profile.
Oh, I gotta look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've probably put a solid 6 to 7 hours in so far, just since I got it.
That's cute.
Well, granted, I haven't had it as long as you have.
I'm just joking.
That's cute.
I mean, you got it day one, so naturally
Just joking.
you have a lot more
I'm
in.
just joking.
How many hours have you put in?
I guess
100.
I'd say about 35. Am I
70.
anywhere close?
120.
120 hours already?
120
Nice.
Nice.
plus. It says 120 plus.
Man.
That's dedication, sir.
Yeah.
I like it.
Fuck yeah.
I bet your link's like all jacked up. And how many hearts do you have?
11.
Nice.
I have 7.
I have
think I'm
like
at, like-
11 hearts and like
I'm at like 5 right now.
2 full circles and like a half of a circle.
Jesus. All right.
One thing before we get off that.
Yeah.
It is super annoying when you're climbing when it's raining.
Yes.
Just to let you know.
Yeah, it is.
That's life, baby. Sometimes you just gotta wait around for the rain to clear up.
Yeah. Sometimes, hey man, it's raining, but I need to freaking cook here, but I can't.
I
Because
just
it's
need
raining.
to get right there. I just need to get right over that edge of
Oh
that.
shit, it's raining. Oh no, stack electricity. Oh shit. I gotta take this off.
Make
It's
sure
so
you change.
hilarious because I've even seen a rusty broadsword like in the ground when it's raining and lightning. I took all my like the metal off, but you can see a sparking around that sword. It's like I ain't fucking touching that sword. Go around and strikes that sword.
That's cool. So yeah, so let's dive into some feedback. First bit of feedback we have is from James saying, if Orton is the champ, where do they go after the Wyatt feud? Because there are not really any big heels on SmackDown other than Owens. As of right now, Raw has plenty of options for the world title, and SmackDown doesn't have as many. Just like SmackDown has plenty of matchups they can throw at you for the U.S. title, and Raw is lacking in the mid-card area.
I mean, should we go into it now or wait till we talk about
We
SmackDown?
can go into it, yeah.
I mean, we know the stuff about gender,
Yeah.
which threw me off.
Yeah.
But like, okay, you read reports on the internet and stuff. You don't know if it's correct or not. But what's the reason with gender? Because they're doing stuff in India or what?
I don't know the reasoning behind it, but
Because they were like, they want.
I did find it interesting that they used the Bollywood boys
Hey
to help
man,
them out.
I've always liked those dudes since they came in. I thought they were pretty cool. So now they're gonna be heel. I don't know what they're gonna do with them, but hey, this is something new, something fresh. I haven't been a humongous gender fan, but like I said, something new. Let's go
Don't
with it and
hinder
see what
gender.
happens. So I mean, he's jacked. So like this dude's in a good shape. He's jacked. Let's do something with him. So we'll see how it goes.
Yep. So yeah, and then you also have your Baron Corbins as far as for SmackDown heels. Dolph Ziggler could always be an option later on down the road. Yeah, they are kind of lacking a little bit, especially since Bray Wyatt went down to Raw. I still don't understand why they went with that move, but yeah.
Gender instead of like someone else.
No, like why did they move Bray Wyatt to Raw? But anyways, I guess to get away from Harper and Eric Rowan.
It's gonna be by Braun now.
Yeah. So thanks, James, for the feedback. Next bit of feedback we have is from Ace McSpade saying JBL is a piece of shit. How many of these incidences of bullying have we heard about this guy over the years? You could write an entire book about this with the amount of crap he's done in WWE. Unfortunately, he's good friends with Vince, so he's not going anywhere. Why can't Vince just die already? When Vince is dead, maybe bullies and perverts and sex offenders like Michael Hayes, Pat Patterson, and JBL will lose their fucking jobs. Seriously, it's not 1980 anymore. Fuck Vince and his old school bullshit.
Yeah, I think Vince is just too fucking. What's the word? I don't even know the word I'm looking for.
I don't know. Where are you going with this?
He's just too Vince is too stubborn to fucking die, I think. He seems like one of those people that would live forever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's one of those things where as long as they have something to do, they still have that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like as soon as he retires, 2 months over, he's gone.
Lights out.
Yeah. I don't know.
Or unless he just dies with the job.
I mean, that seems like as
probably
likely as a possibility as anything.
Yeah, that's probably the route that it's going to end up happening. But
he seems like one of those crotchety old stubborn dudes who fucking would
How old is he?
He's in his 80s. No, wait, he's in his
Late
70s.
70s,
Late
I think.
70s.
mid to late 70s. So
He's pushing 80. He's got to be coming up on 80, right?
I don't know.
76 top, at least 76.
Let's see.
I'll look it up.
I'm gonna say 79 or 80.
45. 71. Okay, he's only 71.
71? Wow. I was
He
way
still
off.
has many years left. Net worth $1.24 billion.
Shit.
Yeah, okay, that's Wikipedia for one thing, and and for two, I don't know if I believe that, but I don't know. Like, we're being a little morbid with the death thing, but in all honesty, I mean, Vince he's 71. He's not going to change.
Yeah.
He's going to have to leave for things to change. That's the reality of the situation, right?
Pretty much. That's going to be it.
Not too many 70-something-year-olds like have epiphanies about their life and change.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to 70, you're usually pretty stuck in your ways.
He's either going to have to be like voted out by the board, or he's going to have to choose to retire, or he's going to
He
keel
doesn't
over.
strike me as the type of dude who chooses retirement.
Yeah.
He chooses death. Like that old Necro Butcher t-shirt.
So, but yeah. So thanks Ace for the comments. Always nice to hear back from our longtime listeners. So let's talk about Raw, the Braun show.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
What were you gonna say?
I was about to say, out of this week, do you feel like either one show or both shows utilize their exchanging of talents, or not really?
Well, I mean, you have to say that SmackDown did by them allowing Jinder to become the number one contender.
Jinder.
I mean, there's their land of opportunity right there.
The clones.
Yes.
And Charlotte.
In 2 weeks, they've done more with the air quote shining stars than Raw did the entire time they were there.
Can I say something fucking batshit crazy?
Batshit crazy? I love it. Let's go.
SmackDown might need 3 hours with like the number of people they have.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's batshit crazy.
Get the hell out of here.
They've got, I mean, they seem like they have more people than they have time now.
Yeah. And they've done so well with the talent that they had, and then they lost it. And it's like, okay, well now we got to start all over again.
They had a more trim roster, and it feels like since the shakeup or whatever, it feels like their roster is like a third bigger than it used to be. You know what I mean?
Okay. They exchanged certain talents, but then they added like what? Okay, no, they exchanged. They got Tamina, who came back.
Yeah.
And then they got two people from
Shinsuke,
NXT.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ty Dillinger.
you can't tell me it doesn't feel like a bigger roster, though. You know.
Are you saying I can't tell you that it doesn't feel, or it does feel? Would you say?
I mean, you could tell me whatever you want, but I wouldn't buy it. I'm saying I would find it hard to believe someone would telling me it doesn't feel like a bigger roster since the shakeup. It does feel like they have more people than they have time now.
And if they are gonna add the Bollywood boys,
think about everybody who's on the show now. We've got New Day. He's not really doing anything because Kofi's hurt. Nakamura isn't really doing anything because he wasn't even on the show this week.
Orton didn't do anything this week.
Those are big acts that aren't even on the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's true.
And they are trying to squeeze as much as they can in the time that they have, because they're having like 6-pack challenges, tag matches, multi-person matches.
Okay.
Well, I get the impression the 6-pack challenge was to make lend Jinder more credibility off the bat, because it would be better. It seems like a bigger deal than just beating like one person in a singles match, especially just because he jobbed on his way out of Raw, and he doesn't have a ton of credibility in the sense of he's beaten a lot of people. You know,
I did not see this coming.
Rusev. I mean,
Rusev's not there yet.
Is he hurt?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's 3 big acts that aren't even on the show. You know what I mean? They may need.
Maybe.
And then they're going to push Lana as well.
Yeah.
I think he has a point. I thought you were going to be batshit crazy. But
okay, you may take the stance that we have reached the maximum amount of content that you're willing to watch, but if you're looking at it from how many people are on the roster and how many people they have to, I think there's a good case to be made that they could.
Because someone's
going to
get axed.
Yeah, well,
with something.
Maybe.
No, I mean, like, if they don't have time for something, there's a.
I think those big, like, those days of mass exoduses out of the company are over, because they have a lot more time to fill these days. This isn't like we're going to cut 20 people because we still only have 2 hours a week. They've got so many shows. They're going to find something for these fucking people to do.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean,
because I was about to say, like, they have a lot of shit. There's the UK guys, which I don't know what they're going to do.
I mean, I know you guys.
They're going to have their own show.
I know you guys talked to
Already?
Gotch, and y'all are going to talk about that. But my understanding that was like they reached an agreement together for him to leave instead of them letting him go. I don't know. You guys are probably going to get into all that shit. But, that we didn't get the big, here's 12 people we're letting go. They've got too much time to fill. They'll find something for somebody somewhere.
Keep on adding shows.
Like you said, at first it sounds batshit crazy, but then the more you think about it, they probably would need it. They could probably benefit with a third hour.
We just named 3 huge acts off the dome that they aren't even on the fucking show the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. With the struggling crowd sticking around for 205 Live, I think it would probably be best to just say, look, you guys are going to run the roads with NXT. We're going to have an hour of NXT, an hour of 205 Live. And then where we can available, we're throwing some of the UK guys. I think that would be more than ideal because you already have the built-in crowd of NXT. Add the 205 guys to them and have more exciting content. I think that would be the perfect pairing. And I've hinted at that for quite some time. And you could use that third hour, which is 205 Live, as a third hour of SmackDown. Mm-hmm. I mean, it would fit itself. So,
I mean, that's the last thing that people want to hear is they need more time because people feel we've reached the saturation point.
Sure.
Or probably a lot of people feel like we've passed.
Just because it's so much time to dedicate.
Yeah, but that's how big their fucking roster is these days.
Yeah. Because, I mean, hell, you've got AJ Styles competing for the minor title because they have so much stuff going on. You've got Shinsuke Nakamura, who's, like you said, not even on
the show. I mean, he was on the show in the sense that they
had a video package, but you got Rusev, the New Day, Orton, who only comes out and makes an appearance saying, okay, you're the number one contender. Once I finish things up with Bray Wyatt, it's all you.
I would not be shocked if they go to 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, with all the stuff going on and all the changes, but SmackDown did change a lot of stuff.
Whoever's running it, whoever's in charge, they've made the most with it.
I feel a little weird about, that's awesome that they did that with the clones, but, I feel a little weird with, the expense of American Alpha, because they really haven't had too much going on. But they need build up a bigger tag team. I don't know. Or not build up another tag team.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess this is their... I don't know if they didn't have the clones, I don't know what else they would do because it's their third time that we do.
Even though they're sort of in a stable with gender now, I mean, you got to imagine the Bollywood boys will be in the tag scene as well.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy for that because they haven't had too much going on with them.
Haven't had anything going on.
Well, they were sort of the odd men out in the fact that they were the only tag team in the cruiserweight thing, and they're just
there's no other tags.
We could make they can and did make other makeshift tag teams, but they stuck out in the sense that they were actually a tag team. You know what I mean? So.
Mm-hmm. So I'd like it
feels about 15 degrees cooler since you hit that switch.
I'd like our listeners to weigh in on this, knowing now what we've discussed. Should SmackDown get a third hour? Let us know. That's the little bit of homework we have for you guys this week. Either go to our Facebook page, WNS Podcast, our YouTube channel, WNSvideo. Let us know. So yeah, I mean, we can talk about SmackDown since we're already on the topic.
Sorry. That match when they had that the 6-way or whatever,
the 6-pack challenge,
mm-hmm. Without knowing that Jinder won, who would I have picked? Because I didn't pick Jinder in my head.
And that's the thing.
It was Sami Zayn because in my head it was like, oh, Mojo's gonna be feuding with Jinder, Luke's gonna be feuding with Eric, and then who was the other person?
I thought they were going to go
Shinsuke.
I thought they were going to do Harper just for the simple fact that they butted heads in the recent past, and they seem to want to elevate Harper.
Yeah.
So I thought they were going to go Harper. It does not surprise me that they went with Jinder. In retrospect, if you look at it and break it down, and the fact that there were 2 heels in the match and one already has a program, it doesn't seem that crazy. Here's the thing about Jinder is, I know some people are real they're gonna. First of all, you're super light on the heel side on SmackDown, especially when you just flipped AJ to babyface. But even when you want to look at it, even when you want to consider AJ, you want to consider Kevin Owens. Those are not guys who are getting like legitimate heel reactions. Like Jinder was refreshing in the way that he actually got heat. Like
Yeah,
a fucking heel
they really
should.
booed him.
And so that's kind of cool. He's new. Like I don't. Is this gonna work? I don't know. Like let's see what happens. You know, like
I hope they can do stuff. I hope it works.
but you know what? You
It's
know
a
what's-
land of opportunity.
You know what's more sort of off-putting to me than Jinder getting a title shot is another blah, run-of-the-mill, lame duck Randy Orton title run. I'm more bummed about that than Jinder getting like a one-off shot at the title. They're trying to elevate a guy into a position, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But as far as
I mean, I'm already done with Orton's title run. Like,
I was done with it whenever before I realized he was beating. I mean, once I realized he was going to beat Bray before it actually happened, I was already done with
So
it.
you think that Orton's going to beat Bray,
yes.
and then Orton's going to lose to Jinder?
No.
No. Jinder's just going to be like the flavor of the month, like he's like a contender. He's like a contender for a month until, you know, or maybe
Yeah.
two. He may get a rematch, but you know, they're treading water for a little bit until they get like a more clear position. Like, you know, they're still like mixing up the roster and moving pieces into where they want them to be.
Yeah,
You know
because
what?
they have a month until the SmackDown
They have a month and a
pay-per-view.
half.
This
I
is
think.
just me thinking this, but I hope he gets it. I want Jinder to have the title.
Yeah.
It's something different. I want it.
And you know, they have a month to a month and a half to build him up, to establish what the Bollywood boys will have to do with this whole thing. You know, are we looking at a new faction? Are we, you know?
Yeah.
So
well, I was looking at the spoilers for NXT tapings, and whoever the Indian dude they have down in NXT, the Bollywood boys came out for him, so they might hotshot that dude up to the roster and do like a whole stable.
So they have a new Indian guy?
Yeah, I can't recall his name off the top of my head, to be honest with you, but I know that the Bollywood boys went down with him, or they came out while he had a match or something like that. So they're probably gonna do it full and stable. And you know what? To me, it seems a lot more fun of like Jinder, like feuding with Orton and like Bollywood boys trying to get involved and catching RKOs and shit. That seems to me that seems more fun than whatever this fucking hocus pocus shit we're about to get is. You know what I mean? So
House of Horrors.
it's a house of horrors, sir.
Wait,
Yeah, I
House
mean-
of Horrors. That's where that big plant is, right?
Yes.
It's in
Yeah.
it's gonna
That's-
talk.
that's
Little shop.
Little
That's
shop of
Little
horrors.
Shop.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm interested. I'm willing to see where they go with it. You know, if it works, well, I mean, I don't know, but we'll
Everyone
see.
was booing, right? There was a lot of boos when Jinder
Well, yeah, but
won.
that's the thing.
'Cause
Like,
people wanted Sammy, right?
well, I think people. I don't know who people
I
want.
think people had their own expectations, and whenever it didn't go their way, they're like, wait a minute,
Jinder, no, man.
gender of all people, you know, that's sort
Hey,
of their
no,
mindset.
man. This is better than that. I did not like the stuff with Mojo and Jinder and that Crunk guy. I don't know.
Gronk,
Whatever.
yeah,
Crunk. I'm gonna call him Crunk because I don't know who he is, and he shouldn't be over there. And that lady was right
she
to
was.
stop him. Okay, who the fuck is that guy? On to the next subject.
We have a jumper. So yeah, I mean, we saw Charlotte and Naomi sort of get into it. They had a match later on in the night, and if Charlotte won, then she became the number one contender. Got a championship match for next week.
I liked that situation. I liked Charlotte that she came out and she said her things like no one, said that I'm supposed to be number one contender off the bat. Then Naomi came out and just like, you want to do it? Boom, decked her, and just they started their thing. I liked it.
Yeah.
There was some good shit in this match. There was some sloppy shit in this match. What I am sort of not cool with, and what I'm sort of over, I'm tired of champs losing like
All the time.
non-title matches to
What-
set up contenders. Like you could.
And two people fight, right? And whoever wins gets a number one contender shot.
Yeah, or put her up against someone who had recently been in the title mix, and then have her beat her, and just be like, "Well, Alexa's gone. This was the other person who was in the mix. She beat her. Now she's like number one contender."
That would be.
And who was?
It was either Mickey or Alexa.
Yeah, but who were they working with?
Naomi. So they would have had to start from scratch.
Well, I mean that's.
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, it
they could have done that. So
I mean, I don't even have a problem with them hot-shotting her right up to the title feud, because if you look at who you got, she's as good of a choice as anybody. My point is that I didn't want Naomi dropping a pinfall to set it up.
You could have gone with Nia Jax, or you could have gone with the better choice, being Charlotte. Because clearly, that's the best draft or shakeup.
I just didn't like her taking the fall to set that up.
Yeah.
There's better ways of doing it.
And they do that so frequently, where the champions will lose a non-title match.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I think the whole land of opportunity thing works with a lot of like people, but like I feel like some people may get the shaft
Well, sure.
because
It's inevitable. Someone has to be left behind every once in a while.
I don't know how to explain it. This is me feeling this way, but like maybe it's the second week in a row, but I feel like Tamina is
She just showed up and then now she's there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just
Well, the thing, unfortunately for the women is with they don't have 3 hours like Raw has, and so you're lucky if you're lucky if you get 2 women's segments on SmackDown. You're probably just getting one. Oh well, you know what? To take that back, when they had fewer women, SmackDown actually did a decent job of throwing a couple of different women's segments out there.
Yeah.
There were plenty of weeks, plenty of consecutive weeks where they had 2 women's matches that they gave time to. So maybe
they only added one lady to the roster, right? Because they only got one switch, and then Tamina was out for a long time, so they just added her. So it was just actually one.
She was there all along. She got drafted, and they just didn't. Or no, they left her out because she was hurt or whatever.
right.
But,
Yeah.
but I think we were under the assumption that she was going there no matter
Yeah,
what.
that was the speculation.
Yeah, I
But
might be
you've
talking
got-
out of my ass. They usually do give them time.
Yeah. Well, you have Carmella, heel, Natalya, heel, Nia, or not, I'm sorry, not Nia.
Charlotte.
Charlotte, heel. You've got Tamina, heel. And then you've got Naomi and Becky Lynch. So it's like you can only,
Yeah, you can
you can only pair up so much.
Right.
So,
and then you got Carmella's side chick.
yeah. And Becky wants to fight
Yeah.
James Ellsworth.
Hey,
I do
man.
like how Ellsworth gets like punked out by everyone all the time.
Yeah. That's his role.
He knows what he's doing there.
Well, they were like, man, we give this guy a contract. We got to give him something.
Yeah. Oh, I have a feeling once it's up, he's gone.
Yeah, but he only needed that one run. He's going to command. You know what kind of.
He got that above ground pool. He's got kids.
Do you know how on the I don't know if I can't remember if you watched the Hall of Fame or not, but do you remember how the and during the Hall of Fame induction speech, the Rock and Rolls were like, our fucking indie rate just went up. that's fucking Ellsworth's indie rate.
That's that brand.
Yeah, like he's formerly WWE on the flyer. You know, his rate just went up.
That's right. So yeah, Jinder Mahal wins the 6-pack challenge to become #1 contender with some help from the Bollywood Boys.
Arvin Gurv Sira.
Yeah. We got to see Primo and Epico Cologne, not the Shining Stars, go up against American Alpha, and Primo and Epico get the win. So,
Like I said, I'm mixed with this.
Yeah. I mean,
Here's the thing: American Alpha didn't have a lot of momentum to lose, and if you want it to seem like Primo and Epico are making an impact upon their debut, they got to be somebody. You know what I mean?
But there's no other face teams.
no.
Not really. I mean,
They lost Rhino and Slater. And,
yeah, and Ryder's hurt, so they broke Mojo off. And
And then they have the Ascension that's still there. They're Hills.
Forgot about them.
Who else? That's it. Or am I forgetting another team?
Whoever the tag champs are right now.
the Usos are tag champs. Or
Usos
heels.
Yeah.
are Hills. And who are they taking?
No one.
Well, I feel like we're working that out, right?
Yeah,
they're working it
We've
out,
got like
yeah.
6 weeks. They're like moving all the pieces into place. like how they want them.
This is the reset where everything's like, okay, let's get this going. Saw a match with Kevin Owens, who declared himself the face of America, and he is the United States of America champion. And
That's a way, I guess, to go with it.
A talking point that I saw, and I guess we could discuss this, is you think it's overkill to have Jinder doing like the New American Dream thing, and then also Owens doing the New Face of American thing?
yeah, I did see that, and there is a little bit of clashing there.
Here's the thing. I say give it to Jinder because fucking Owens isn't going to get heel reactions anyway. Yeah. So they might as well let Jinder run with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. It's just the foreigners, how dare they talk bad about America.
If they want to play on like fucking like jingoism and shit like that, like people are, and I'm not endorsing this. It's a sad reality. Mm-hmm. There are a certain number of fans who are going to boo the brown dude before the fucking white dude. A lot of Americans consider Canadian just like, you know, whatever. And I'm not fucking endorsing that or saying that's cool or whatever, but I'm saying
it's a sad reality.
It's a sad reality. If you're going to play that card, like the foreigner card, they're more the shitty people who are going to boo off that fact are more likely to boo the brown dude than the fucking white dude.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it fucking is, sadly.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm with you. Give it to Jinder. And
I mean, fucking if
Kevin can figure out his own stuff.
I mean, look, if you're gonna like give Jinder a push, then give him everything he needs to try and make a fucking success out of it. You know, like if you're gonna do it, like give him all the help he needs. You know.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You've got 4, 5, 6 weeks to make him look like a credible threat, and I say they just need to put the Jets on him.
And if they do it right, then he's not just like a job guy anymore. You know,
not just another dude.
He can be like upper mid card heel if they pull this off after this. You know?
I hope to see some advancement on that. But Kevin Owens defeats Gary Gandy from the local town and made quick work of him. Then AJ Styles went up against Baron Corbin while Kevin Owens was on commentary. And any thoughts from that matchup?
Not really.
It was.
Are we all thinking that this is eventually going to come back around to later down the line when Cena comes back? Cena answers the open challenge the way that Owens did. Is that where we're going back from this?
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
I mean, like after he wraps up all his shit and he's come back, we're getting closer to SummerSlam. Down in the summer. Eventually, we get Cena Open.
He comes out during SummerSlam. Okay, it's time for the Face of America Open Challenge. Anyone out there? Cena wins, lol. Yeah, I could see them riding it that long.
It'd be like a nice, like, symmetry, like coming back around the other way. You know what I mean?
Come back full circle.
Yeah. No one at home can see me doing the wax on, wax off thing. I'll try to do symmetry, but I'm doing this.
These hand the wax off. So, AJ Styles defeats Baron Corbin via countout, which I thought was well done. So, yeah.
Damn, how good is AJ Styles just having good matches with whoever the fuck you want him to have a good match with?
Well, good. Braun carried his weight in that match as well.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, AJ doesn't take a night off, man.
No.
He'll take a stupid bump in anybody's match. You want him to have a match?
Yeah, he needs to be careful. It's going to catch up with him.
Yeah, but he's been doing it for like forever now.
How many years?
He does DDP yoga.
He does. That helps. But it can only carry so much.
AJ Styles, a good professional wrestler.
Yes.
So that pretty much does it for SmackDown. As far as Raw, goodness, the Braun train is a rolling. Started with him, had him in the middle, had him at the end.
Would you say?
I kind of feel like.
Do you think it might be too much?
No. I just want to say that I kind of called the Braun train before I left the station.
Yeah,
that's true. That is true. Is Braun the hottest thing on Raw?
Absolutely, hands down.
No question. That dude's fucking over.
He's gotten over with the crowd. He's so athletic for a guy of his size. Like, it's impressive to watch the stuff that he can do. And to see how far he's come in the time that he's been given, and now he has become that monster heel.
That dude had like 10 matches before he was on the main roster.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You keep on keeping on, doing the right thing, and do not pair him with Bray Wyatt.
No.
He's past
Bray
that.
Bray wishes he was over as Braun these days.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I wanted to ask you guys. Are you guys getting tired of the Bray Wyatt promos where he's just
there with it? Like, I don't really.
It just seems like he's just rambling now. It's like
he's always been rambling.
He needs
you can't win a match, and you're still talking about how you're the best at all this stuff. Or
I don't have no feelings with it, to be honest with you. I'm kind of numb to it. To be honest,
he needs a Primo and Epico reboot. Like,
Yeah.
not. But, I mean, I'm serious. Like, they didn't like take them off TV and drastically change them. They just sort of like stopped talking about the fucking resort shit and just like started talking about them in the same ways as slightly different people. And they could pump the brakes and ease off the supernatural shit and just make him some scummy redneck dude who's, you know,
From the bayou.
willing to get down and dirty, you know, and that would work much better for him, I think. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't think they're going to do that.
I agree.
I don't think they're going to do that.
And for God's sakes, give the man a win when it counts. That would be the biggest help for the guy. Let him win every once in a while. Because every time he builds up, and then the match happens and he loses.
He needs to eat a pizza every once in a while.
Eat a pizza once in a while.
The thing they think Bray's above wins and losses, but here's the thing about people who are above wins and losses. They won a bunch of fucking matches before they got to the point where they're above wins and losses.
They reached a certain status
before it
didn't matter if they won or lost.
Yeah. They fucking tried to like do not collect $200 with Bray, and it didn't fucking work, you know? It's just like
It's like, well, wait a second. You forgot the whole middle part here. Braun came out to open the show saying, you know, I'm not done. I'm going to tear Roman Reigns apart. Angle came out and said, well, you've got the night off.
Yeah, I just wanted to, just because how my mind works, and I'm still fixating on it.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on again, I should be like, Jericho is above wins and losses now, but before he was above wins and losses, he beat fucking Stone Cold and The Rock, like, you know,
in the same night.
Yeah, like, yeah. Before that happened, now he's above wins and losses. You know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now that I feel I've thoroughly driven that nail in, we can move on. Sorry.
Speaking of Jericho, God, is his like.
He's so pandering.
Yes, that was what I was going to say. Is that his new shtick, where he's just going to pander the hell out of the crowd?
I hope that's his way of going heel. He's like he's trying to annoy his way back around to heel.
Is this him going out?
I think he likes being cheered, guys. I think he's just into, like, you know.
He's just like, what can I really just
What's his
say
schedule?
where it's the point that the fans are just going to be like, really?
I mean, what's his schedule? Is he about to go out?
That's the rumor.
Oh.
And so I would think that once Payback or whatever occurs.
What's all the phrases he said about the Drifter? That, you're off
Drifter
the hook.
Dan Duck or something?
I don't know. That drifting, I don't know. He said 3 different ways.
Yeah.
You just made the list.
Yeah.
Can you buy lists on WWE.com?
You can.
Yes. That inflatable list?
Not that one.
Okay.
But the, portable one, yes. We got to see Samoa Joe going up against Chris Jericho. Seth Rollins was on commentary. And after the match, Samoa Joe picks up the victory, forcing Chris Jericho to tap out. And Rollins did the line that everyone expects to be said for Payback, and that is, Payback's a bitch. So, whatever. I don't know. I felt like they were trying to feed Rollins lines, and he wasn't really like getting the message.
See, I thought he was less annoying than normal on commentary.
That's because he didn't say very much.
Well, maybe that's what I'm getting at. I don't know.
So we got to see Braun Strowman attack Golden Truth backstage, go to town. I said everyone. Gallows and Anderson came out and said, well, hey, that's who we were supposed to fight, and we're being mean and making green, so we want to fight.
That's what they're there for.
Yes. Enzo and Cass answered the call, and Gallows and Anderson won. The ending was kind of sudden, with Anderson dropping Enzo on the top turnbuckle, and he kind of flailed down, and that was sort of the end of that. Anything from the matchup itself?
Not really.
No. What were y'all's thoughts on Miz TV with Dean Ambrose?
I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
Same old stuff that he's done. Didn't he have...
I don't think it's Miz, though. I think it's Dean.
Yes.
What okay.
Because we just saw Miz coming off of the work of his career as far as mic work and character work.
I was going to say, I'm lost on timelines, but how long ago was Miz and Dean Ambrose? Not too long ago.
Yeah, it really wasn't. So...
I don't want it.
I don't know. I'm falling off of the Dean Ambrose bandwagon.
He seems unmotivated, and it's kind of hard to blame him because it felt like they sort of just let him sit there and tread water for a while, put him on the back burner. I wasn't a fan of a lot of his character work before that even, but, you know, with him being unmotivated, it's even harder to care, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just burnt. I think
I think I started falling off whenever he did that interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Austin pretty much just called him out, said, why aren't you doing this? And he never really had a response.
He did. I thought he had the best response possible. He had the truthful response. He's like, yeah, it's fucking different when you're Stone Cold Steve Austin to do what you want to do. And then he's like, this is not the same fucking, this isn't your day anymore. You know, this is, everyone does carefully scripted promos. It's not the same fucking beast. I thought that's not the answer people wanted to hear. People wanted to hear him say, oh, fuck yeah, I'm gonna, but the reality is he was never gonna feasibly be able to answer that challenge.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it made Austin look like a cock to be like, oh, why don't you just fucking, you know, whatever.
Get in trouble every once in a while.
Do that and get your ass fired.
I don't know. I think it's real fucking easy when you're Stone Cold Steve Austin to fucking lay that challenge out. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. But anyways, excuse me. I got to see Braun again backstage, dragging Kalisto and literally dumping him, throwing him in the trash can. And then Big Show comes by, knocks Braun down, and says, "Why don't you pick on someone your own size?" So
they have to give Braun something to do because Roman is out right now.
Yes. Got to see some cruiserweight action. TJ Perkins going up against Jack Gallagher, and you know, I don't know how many times they said that David Otunga was filming a movie, but good God, they tried to hit that home.
Hey, is David Otunga filming a movie?
I think so. And we have Booker T filling in for him. And my goodness, the number of times where they were trying to like tell Booker T what's going on. I don't know. Did you guys get that feeling?
What do you mean?
Like
he hadn't been watching the product? And they're
they're like, oh, this part's fun. Watch this. And, you know, then Jack Gallagher did the little dive off the top turnbuckle with the umbrella. And they're like, oh, this is so much fun.
To Booker T, man. He's awesome. He can do whatever.
No, I'm talking about Cole and Graves, like talking to Booker T. They're like, watch this. It's so much fun. Oh, we call it the Mary Poppins. That was just weird. It was weird.
I don't know.
It was just weird. But TJ Perkins ends up getting the victory. What are y'all's thoughts on the whole TJ Perkins and Neville pairing?
I think TJP's much better as a heel.
Yeah. That little cocky arrogance.
The physical charisma that he has translates so much better to heel mannerisms. Just like the little shitty fucking faces he makes, stuff like that. I think he's gonna be better for him in the long run.
He's using like the little dab move to, you know, agitate the crowd, and he does the little guns going in the holster, kind of thing.
Well, he did it during the Classic, and he sort of cooled off doing it.
Yeah.
He was also a little bit more of a prick in the Classic too, though. I mean, he wasn't explicitly heel because no one was really explicitly heel except for Kendrick in the Classic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was definitely.
But no, that was his Cinderella story.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I got it twisted.
He was the emotional one.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Nobody was explicitly heel in the Classic.
Except the people who like lost in the first round. It was like that's their one big shine.
I wouldn't even say those guys. You're right. I forgot they did the old man's last run thing with him. He wasn't a dick until he was on the roster. You're right. Yeah, there was no explicit heels.
So, yeah. Backstage, we saw Titus O'Neil approaching Apollo Crews, trying to join the Titus brand. And, you know, it's one of those things where, like we talked about New Day and Rusev not being shown and Shinsuke. Like, this is one of those things where, like, Raw got Kalisto and Apollo Crews, and the only thing we've seen them in so far is, like, backstage moments.
The difference between those two scenarios is we are going to see Nakamura and we are going to see the New Day.
Absolutely.
But we may never see Apollo and Kalisto again.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm getting at. Like, you know, the usage of the talents, I think SmackDown got the better end of the deal.
I mean, I think Kalisto is going to nestle into the 205 live scene, and
Yeah.
Apollo, I'm afraid for.
I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Release him?
I mean, you don't want to see it
I
happen,
don't think they
but
release people anymore unless they want to be released. I think
Yeah.
they're just like, we've shuffled them off to a different show.
yeah. We got to see a fatal four-way match to determine the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. Sasha Banks, Mickie James, Alexa Bliss, and Nia Jax.
And I thought this was real good.
Yeah.
I thought at different points in the match, I was convinced that almost everyone in this match was winning. There were parts where I was convinced that Nia Jax was winning. There were parts where Mickie James, and she looked good in the match. There were parts where Mickie James looked good in the match. I was convinced Mickie James was winning. There were several points I thought Alexa was going to sneak out a fucking win, and she did. And I don't know. I thought this was well put together and well paced. And like, bravo to the women. Like, I know it was her hometown, and she was considerably over in front of a hometown crowd.
Right.
But I thought when she came out, when they announced that they had her in the trade or whatever, in the shakeup, I thought she got a pretty good pop then too. I think she's just fucking
did.
over. I think
She is.
Yeah.
She's just over.
Yeah.
Um,
The crowd just likes her, you know.
yeah. It's that
Sass.
evil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so little fucking.
I don't need your approval.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so badass.
I feel like I called that one too, guys. I don't know. I feel like I called Braun and Alexa. I mean, I don't know. I know people are gonna try. I don't know. I mean, rewind the tapes.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, you want to get this side, Tyler? You want to get this?
Okay, let me go up there.
Yeah, go give him a pat on the back.
You get the left shoulder. There you
There
go.
you go.
I feel like I called Braun, and I feel like I called Alexa. I mean, there's only like 300 fucking episodes. You can go back and listen.
Listen to them all.
Listen to episode 9. That was a good one. No. Yeah. So Alexa Bliss ends up getting the victory. And the ending was really well done. Like, Nia Jax did the work. Alexa Bliss capitalized on it, because I was kind of curious if they were going to go Alexa route, how was she going to do it? And they did it very well. Yeah. Because, like you said, there was parts where I was like, oh, they're going to give it to Sasha and have the Sasha turn. Then there were parts where I thought, like, okay, they're going to do the Nia. They're going to give her a shot.
I think that's a testament to how like well the match was structured, because there were at different points I thought any of these women were winning at certain points. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The one thing that I noticed is that Mickie James didn't get that much of a reaction whenever she came out, and I was kind of bummed by that.
I thought she looked good in the match, though.
She looked fine in the match, but like when she first came out, like everyone got their respective reactions from the crowd. I felt like Mickie got the smallest reaction from the crowd, and that kind of bums me, because she's a very talented individual.
She can still go.
Yeah, and so maybe it was just that particular crowd. They knew Alexa Bliss was from there, so they're like, oh, we're saving it for Alexa. But that was just one of the things that I noticed. Kurt Hawkins went up against Finn Balor, and I found this very interesting because last week it was reported that Finn Balor suffered a concussion, and here he is the very next week. It's a very short match, very light work, but it's a match nonetheless.
He didn't really bump except for the drop kicks on his own.
Yeah,
bumping off his own drop kicks.
Yeah. So I'm guessing he passed the stress test or whatever procedures that they go through.
I think they say, and I'm not a doctor or a fucking scientist or any of that shit, but I think they say that there's no like set timeline on this stuff.
I thought it was like, if you're diagnosed with a concussion, it's automatic 30 days off.
It should be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you're right and I've got it twisted, but I thought it was just like they play it by ear and it's whatever the doctor says. It feels like the rule should be there should be like a certain amount of days off.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was, but they probably said, okay, at first glance it looks like you have a concussion. Let's get you checked out,
right?
And then we'll go from there.
If that's not the rule, that should be the rule, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we're all in agreement on that.
Yes.
Yes.
So Finn Balor made quick work of Kurt Hawkins. Chris Jericho played to the crowd. Bray Wyatt cut his little promo. Jeff Hardy going up against Cesaro. They had a backstage segment where they sort of shook hands and said, hey, this is kind of a dream match. But what do you think about the match? I didn't get to tune into the whole match. I saw like the end. But what did you guys think?
It was good, but it wasn't great. And there was, I don't know, like the previous 2 years before they threw Cesaro in the tag with Sheamus, he had this reputation, and with good reason, he had the reputation for having all these little these little mini epic matches on Raw with whoever the fuck was game to have a little mini epic match with him. He had them with everybody from Cena to much lesser guys on the roster, and he tore it up for years and years and years. And I was like, fuck yeah. When they said we're getting Cesaro and Hardy, I was like, ooh, this is gonna be good. I can't wait to see like what they give us. Like if they get time, this shit's gonna be good. No questions, right?
Yeah.
And it was good, but it was not. It
Didn't live
good.
up to your expectations.
I thought it was going to be magical, but it was only good, right? And then what I think is it's not really Cesaro's role. It wasn't the purpose of this match, and not really Cesaro's role to have those matches anymore. The purpose of this match was it's like another building block in the story of the Hardys versus Cesaro and Sheamus. It's not like here is Cesaro having a good match and getting himself over and getting his opponent over. This is to say, okay, now I really want to see the Hardys and Cesaro and Sheamus more, not like this match is supposed to be awesome.
Next week we'll see Matt Hardy versus Sheamus.
Right, and it won't be the purpose of that match for them to have the best match on Raw. It will be it will be the purpose of that match for them to say, okay, now we've seen the individual slices of this. Now I really want to see the Hardys versus Cesaro and Sheamus in like a one-on-one, like that gets time. So I feel like it's unfair to like use this as a criticism against the match because it's not really the purpose of the match and it's not really Cesaro's role anymore. But I'd be lying if I say it didn't factor in for me. Like it was a good match. It was a fine match. It's just like not the magical, like awesome match that I expected. And that's not a fair criticism, but that's my honest opinion of what happened. I was a little bit let down. I'd be lying if I didn't say I was let down because I didn't have the match I wanted them to have. Is that fair? Probably not.
Well, it's your take on it.
No, I mean, it's not a fair like criteria to have for that match because it's not what the match was designed to do. So it's unfair to hurl that as a criticism against the match, but it doesn't mean that wasn't a little bit let down that they didn't have the match that I wanted them to have. So I mean, I'm being honest, but I'm trying to be fair and honest. You know, if that makes any sense.
Sure. I came in towards the end of the matchup, and I don't know like the story that was being told or the selling or anything like that, but Jeff Hardy seemed to be like every move that he was doing seemed to be hurting him. Like
I think he's been banged up since the ladder matches.
Yeah, I think he's just worn down right now, and he hasn't gotten ample time to recoup because he seemed to be grimacing like at everything. Like even his offense, it seemed to be bugging him, and not just like the normal. Oh, this has been a grueling matchup, and I'm hurt. But like,
I think he's good at selling.
Yeah,
I mean, to his credit, but that may not be what you're picking up on. It may be more than that. But
yeah,
it's not something that registered with me. So I don't know.
Maybe, like I said, maybe I just came in too late in the matchup, and I didn't get to see the whole thing. But
yeah, it was good, but it wasn't the great match that people wanted, and you know, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, am I being unfair and kind, Tyler? I don't know. Did you see it?
I did not see it.
Okay.
The main event saw Braun Strowman going up against a Big Show, and this is actually a rematch. We've seen these two go at it before. And one thing that the new general manager forgot, being Kurt Angle, that Mick Foley remembered is to reinforce that ring. Because these are two big guys, and these guys went to war.
Were you surprised that it got as over as it did? I mean, specifically the ring breaking, because they shot to the crowd and people were like, "Oh shit, the fucking ring break!" I was like, obviously the ring's gonna break. You can watch the match and tell that that's the finish they're building to. The way they tease the turnbuckle spots.
Oh yeah, they teased it several times, and they had their old ring posts as opposed to like the LED ones.
The new shit. They don't want to get all busted up.
Yeah. So there was once the Strowman and Big Show interaction happened backstage, I saw where a lot of people were speculating, oh, they're having the main event match. They have the old fashioned, ring post. That ring is going down tonight.
It was a fun match, but I was a little bit surprised that the ring break got over as well as it did, just because they don't do it all the time. They don't do it as much as they do that fucking corner break.
The barricade.
They don't do it as much as that, but they do it enough.
Done this?
It's only the third time they've done it.
Okay, I've only think of two.
It was Big Show and Lesnar.
Yeah.
And then it was Big Show and Mark Henry at Vengeance 2011.
Yeah, but they did it multiple times with Henry and Show, right?
Mm-mm.
They only did it once. Okay,
Just
it feels
once.
like they've done it more than they have then.
Yeah.
So three
And
I
then-
don't remember Mark Henry and Big Show doing
I thought they at least done it 5 times or something.
Nuh-uh. No, they've only done it 3, at least to my recollection.
All right. Well, my bad. I mean, I'll backpedal
They've
off of that.
teased it several times.
Yeah.
But then, they had their match at Vengeance, and that was whenever
There wasn't a Brock Lesnar ring break?
that was the very first one.
Okay, yeah,
it was
that's
Big
right.
Show and Brock.
That's right.
And one thing I found very interesting is that in every one of them, Big Show was the one that took the bump.
Right.
So obviously, he's the biggest. He's the biggest guy. So that's what's going to cause the ring to break. So I don't know. I loved it. I love seeing it just because it's so cool. It's not something that they do every day. The crowd goes ballistic for it because they can say, "Oh, it happened in my town. I got to see that."
They've seen a ring break. We've seen rope breaks.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like you see ropes break on occasion, and so.
What we saw,
Whether it was intended to happen or not, when a rope breaks, you're like, oh, that's something to talk about. So this is one of those instances where the ring got completely destroyed, and the poor referee nearly died for the cause, and he shouldn't be leaning on ropes. That's all I have to say.
I think he took the bump on him. He bumped to the outside on purpose, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because he had his hand on the rope. Or
I
near
thought
the
he was
rope.
trying to sell like the whoa.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he was doing. Because as soon as they made impact, he immediately started falling to the side, and then the ropes gave out, and he just collapsed on the floor. So he definitely did a very good job of selling that. But Braun Strowman stands up, raises his hands. I'm the man who stands at the end of this matchup. So, any other thoughts on that?
Nah, I thought it was a fun match.
I mean, it looks like they're trying to. Okay, so obviously we're going to see Braun versus Roman at Payback.
Yep.
Do they go the Braun route? Have him face Brock Lesnar for the championship at the next pay-per-view?
I think they might.
Yeah,
I think they might.
I'm thinking that too.
Because I think. Not to cut you off, but I think maybe why they did the Roman's injured thing so they can use that as like a reason why he lost. He came in not as 100%.
Sure. He had a separated shoulder. He shouldn't even be competing tonight.
Because also the payoff is Roman eventually beats Brock, but Lesnar needs hot challengers until then. It's not going to hurt Braun's credibility to lose to Brock fucking Lesnar. Like I don't think it cools Braun off to lose to Lesnar. So, but I don't think he's beaten Lesnar, but I think he might beat Roman.
Or do they even take a chance and let Braun defeat Lesnar and have Roman be the one to take the belt off of Braun at Mania?
They could. I don't think that's what they're doing. Though.
Yeah, I mean, I know where the rumors are right now. They're wanting Brock versus Roman at Mania for the title.
They pay Brock Lesnar a lot of money, and
yeah,
if
you're gonna put this guy over, damn it.
If you beat him here, then what are you paying him for the rest of the year? Whatever.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
I mean, here's the thing about Strowman. I think people will be concerned if he loses to Roman or Lesnar. There are two people that Braun can lose to and be okay. And he can lose to Roman and be fine. Mm-hmm. He can lose to Lesnar and be fine. Yeah. He shouldn't be losing to anybody else, though. No. Because Strowman is not going to be... Strowman is... As much as people are into Strowman right now, that's fucking great. Good for that guy. Strowman's never going to be your Cena. He's not that guy that can't... He's never the face of the company. He's never going to be. He's your monster that you're building up that people like. Yeah. He can fucking lose to...
I don't even think he has any merchandise right now.
I just saw a shirt today. They just
really?
Just pulling out.
That's going to sell.
It's like his fucking face, and it says like... Something about like Monster
Among Us
or something like that. And it has like Braun on the back with a fucking mountain or something crazy.
That's cool.
I don't know. But the thing about monsters is they're built up to lose to the to the like the top dogs, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
That's pretty cool. I like that shirt.
It's not bad. It's
simple.
They've definitely had shittier designs than that.
Yeah. The little
I got kids
in front of the mountain. God in heaven.
You want that shirt, right? I got kids.
No, I don't have.
I need this job.
I don't need that shirt yet. I don't need that shirt either.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I like the Braun shirt. It's pretty cool.
That's what I mean. I'm not talking about the kids shirt. I wouldn't wear the kids shirt.
So there you go.
You're listening to an exclusive interview on WNS.
Okay, folks, joining us on the show this week, he is a former WWE superstar. He was one half of the Vaudevillians. You know him as Simon Gotch. Welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, we certainly appreciate your time. And for all things Simon Gotch, or now I should say Simon Grimm, you can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at GotchStyleWWE. So once again, thank you for taking time to come on to the show. I know following your recent departure from WWE, I'm sure your phone has been blowing up with interview opportunities and different appearances. So we thank you for coming on to our show.
Oh, not a problem, but we actually have a mutual friend. He's an artist, old John David there, creator of is Monster Wrestling?
Nightmare
Monster
Pro Wrestling.
Federation. Yeah, so I was directed here by a friend of mine who actually made one of my T-shirts. So I've given you guys a nice little talk because you seem like you want to have some chatting.
Absolutely.
Entertaining type deal.
Yeah, you reached out to our buddy John David Garrett from Nightmare Pro Wrestling.
Good dude.
And the shirt actually was just revealed, and it looks awesome. And for if anyone wants to check it out and get their own T-shirt, you can go to prowrestlingtees.com/Simon Says. So the first question I have to ask you: how did you find John's work? Like, what drew you to him?
I actually came across his work on Instagram, and I thought it was wonderful, and I actually purchased several of the comic books. Just on the artwork alone, I had no idea what the storyline was. I just knew it was, giant monsters, pro wrestling, and I went, this is brilliant. That's pretty much my two favorite things in the world mixed together. And just over the last year and a half or so, I just kept in contact with him, and when my release came, obviously the idea of doing my own merchandise came up, and he was one of the artists I tapped, and I mean, it's always important to me to be able to work with professional artists and be able to, it's going to sound weird, be able to actually compensate them, because if you've done any artwork, especially on the internet, the old promise of you'll get exposure is like, it's the worst thing to hear at the end of a conversation about art or about any sort of professional artwork. So John's professional, so it was just one of those things where it's like, I'd like to work with someone who, he's going to know what his time's worth, he's going to be able to give me a real price, and we can jam this thing out and he'll deliver a quality product. And I've been fortunate enough that a couple of the other shirts I've had done, it's the same deal where I've been able to contact guys who do good work and are professional, and very proud of what they've done.
Absolutely, and I know we can certainly attest to John's craft. He is certainly a professional. We've commissioned him to do several works of art for us, so it's really cool. And the fact that someone who has been into the WWE. See, I had a theory that maybe you saw Xavier Woods' art, that he had reached out to John for the Bootios, and I figured maybe he went around backstage showing everybody.
I honestly had never. I don't think I met him ever before. I might be mistaken on that, but no, I remember seeing that piece, and I was very let down when I saw the actual product that was produced, just because I thought John's was so much better artistically. Like the design was pretty much the same, but some art has a feeling of emotion to it, like there's been something put into it by the creator, a passion, one might say, and then there's some art that feels like it was someone doing a job and just kind of completing it. And John's work always feels very passionate. Like it's clearly done by someone who loves wrestling and wants to depict it in a certain light. So it's something that happens sometimes. It's unfortunate when you kind of have to go through it's like, well, we like the idea, but we have to go through the corporate channel because these are the people we have contracts with, or these are people we have in our employ, and we can't really outsource this stuff. But it does happen that way sometimes.
It sucks the energy away from it.
You said it, not me. That's all I'm going to say.
Speaking of like all this artwork and stuff, are you into like comic books in general?
Oh yeah, I've actually been a big follower of comic books since I was a child. I don't have it with me. It's still in California with my brother. I have a Jim Lee original of Wolverine. Nice. He drew it at WonderCon in 1991, I believe, in record time that day. I don't know if the record still stands. It was something like 27 seconds. He drew a profile of Wolverine.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, and I still collect pretty regularly. I'm a big fan of Eric Powell, who does the Goon, as well as Big Man Plan, and I believe it's one about that. I think it's called Hillbilly. I believe is the new one. Okay. Just really sort of macabre rockabilly style work. It's very entertaining stuff, and the Spread is actually another one I'm very fond of. If you're into any sort of zombie type media, or if you're just a fan of The Thing, the John Carpenter version, it's a hell of a comic to check out.
Cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've always had the theory over the course of years that there is that blurring of the lines between wrestling and comics. There's not that much of a difference. So it's really cool to hear, the wrestlers that are comic fans.
It's actually, you'd be surprised the guys that are. One that actually shocked me, he's no longer with the company. His name's Alex Jones. He used the name Troy McClain in NXT. And I didn't know this. We were doing like an improv exercise, and I think I was campaigning for mayor was the whole deal, and I was running as a Jedi, and I said something about the number of lightsabers, and Alex, who's a complete meathead jock, all of a sudden got angry because I misquoted the proper number of lightsabers. I think I said there were 4, and he was like, there are 5. And he completely throws the whole bit we were doing, this exercise, he throws it out the window because he got really mad at me for not knowing that. And I'm sitting here, and at first I'm thinking he's just messing with me, and I realized, oh no, he's serious. He's really mad about this. And he was a huge Star Wars fan. It was something I never knew. Rick Victor of the Ascension, another one. He's a big comic book guy. It's just a lot of those things where you figure because it's a physical. People tend to think just because you're into something physical, you're not going to be into pop culture and entertainment like comic books or video games. But the reality is, the same kids that grew up watching wrestling on Saturday and Sunday mornings are the kids that were reading comics and playing video games, and they don't necessarily ever, shall we say, outgrow that affinity or that fascination.
I want to go into your career a little bit, your time in WWE. When you get a big call, an important call, sometimes you self-doubt yourself. You're like, this has got to be a prank. Someone's, trying to pull my leg. Take us through where you were when you got the call saying, we want you to come and work for WWE.
I actually had just gotten fired. It's kind of a funny story. I was working at a factory, and the shifts at this place were brutal. They were they were running like 12, 16-hour shifts, pretty standard. Ooh. So my hours were really off at the time, and I got a call from Kenyon Seaman, who's the head or rather, he was in charge of basically hiring developmental talent. And I kept missing his call, and I couldn't get back to him. And basically, the short version of what happened was they told me, they're like, that if we got out this number of parts, I think it was, we'd only have an 8-hour day, we'd be off by 5. And I was like, okay, 5 o'clock, that's still time to call him. This is great. No, so it was 3 o'clock. That's what it was, because it was going to be East Coast time. So I knew I was in the Midwest at the time. I would be losing an hour anyway. So I was like, okay, I'll still have an hour to get in contact with him while he's in the office. This is great. And a machine broke down. And I had one of those just throw up your hands, what the F moments. And they were like, okay, you can't do that on the floor. You got to go home right now. So I went home. I called Canyon, and he told me that they were going to sign me, and that it was. So that was when I was getting my tryout. I'm sorry. I actually got told it was actually very benign when I got told I was getting signed, because that was several months later. But it was that whole thing of like the build up, and I was so excited for it, and then I get the call from my day job, and they're like, yeah, don't come back. I'm like, okay, cool. Wow. Don't worry, I got another one. I've got a new job lined up. I'm good.
It worked out. So you go over to NXT. You spend some time there. You team up with Aiden English. You two become the Vaudevillians. Where did the Vaudevillians idea come from?
It was actually Triple H's idea. What I'd gotten told by Dusty Rhodes was that he'd wanted to see us as a team just because he felt like we sort of had similar aesthetics, and we'd work well together. The name itself actually was English's idea, and then it just it came together over the course. Like the short version of it was about 2 weeks, and the longer version was about, I want to say, 6 or 7 months, because the first time it had been mentioned to me was in, I believe, October, November of the previous year. Dusty had mentioned that Triple H thought me and English should be a tag team. And then it was the sort of thing where it got brought up every once in a while, like, hey, Triple H thinks you guys should be a tag team. And then when we finally got put together, it was like, you guys are a tag team. Triple H wants to see you as a tag team. Like it wasn't put to us as like a, hey, try this out. It was a, you're doing this. So
this is happening now.
Yeah. After being kind of teased for months as like something we had a choice in, and then it was just like, oh, no, you don't understand. We're actually doing this, and this is how you're going to be put on TV, and this is the angle we're setting up, and this is what we're doing.
Wow. So were you initially for the idea of that particular gimmick?
Well, the idea was originally, the idea for me particular was William Regal's idea originally, and I'd done that for about my last year on the Indies or so, my last 6 months on the Indies. And so when I was brought in, I was already kind of doing that, and the idea of just putting it with a tag team seemed pretty much just in the vein of what we could do. I mean, it didn't seem outside of realm of possibility. And English's shtick at the time, the whole Drama King thing, seemed like it would fit well with it. So it just seemed like a pretty natural choice. I mean, I'd had it suggested to me that might happen anyway before I was ever signed by a friend of mine who was in developmental. He wound up being released before I started. But he said, yeah, there's a guy down here who does this whole thing where he's like the Drama King. It's kind of similar to what you do, but not really. You guys might wind up being put as a team. And this was just him spitballing, and it wound up actually happening.
So you spent some time in NXT with the Vaudevillians. Y'all were villainous, to say the least. The crowd turned over to you. You became sort of the crowd favorites in NXT, and then you were brought up to the main roster. And I don't know. There just seemed to be sort of that disconnect. It didn't seem to get over with the crowd as well as it did with the NXT crowd. Do you feel like maybe you were called up too soon, or do you think it was just they didn't really have much for you, or where do you think the disconnect was?
I don't think it's necessarily a matter of being too soon. It's one of those things where part of the job is really you have to be ready for anything at any time. So I don't think there's really such thing as too soon when you have two fully trained and experienced wrestlers going into it. In this particular scenario, I think if there's an issue, it was more along the lines of when we debuted in NXT, the first thing they did with us was a backstage vignette, a little promo. Then the next week we had a match with a couple of the younger guys in NXT to sort of highlight us. And then when we went into our feud with the Lucha Dragons, we had the vignettes with with us sort of doing the silent movie thing where we were saving the NXT tag titles from them. We did the whole thing where we called out the two little people in Nacho Libre masks and Lucha Dragon T-shirts and beat them up, stuff like that. Where I feel like there was a lot. They put a lot of build into it, and then I think it was just a matter of because we were sort of fast-tracked when we went up to the main roster, where we were right into an angle with the New Day, we were right into a storyline, we were right into the tag title tournament. There wasn't really a whole lot of time to do that. So sometimes if you need a bigger explanation for what you're doing, if what you're doing is a little abstract, a little unusual, occasionally it helps to have more time on TV, not so much wrestling as much as presenting what you are, presenting the characters and showing what the motivation and such is. So it might have just been a matter of when we came up, they needed us for a certain job, and that was kind of where we had to go right away. And I think we did what we could with it. We did our best, and in the end, it just sort of went as it did.
Well, what's your relationship with Aiden English? Did you two develop a bond, a friendship, or was it more sort of we're just kind of coworkers and we're going to do our job?
Mostly coworkers. I think we're too similar and too different at the same time to ever really be friends in the way that a lot of the guys are. Mostly because we come from different backgrounds. It's actually kind of funny. We could not be more opposite in our backgrounds, but we have similar tastes in a lot of things. Like we both like sort of an obscure cinema. My taste tends to veer more towards the disgusting and unusual B movies. He tends to like sort of the abstract European, Asian cinema, things like that. I came from a lower class family. My father was a drug addict. My mom was a school teacher. His parents were both, respectable, upstanding citizens who took good care of him. He went to college, I didn't. So we're very kind of opposite people. But I think that was the good thing about that was it actually allowed us to focus on the work as a team and not so much on the friendship. I think sometimes when you're friends with your tag partner, this is just my personal opinion, you tend to lose sight of what the goal is, which is to make the team better. It's sometimes harder to look at an idea and say you either agree with it or disagree with it when you're emotionally invested in the person as your friend. You don't want to be like, I don't think that'll work, or maybe we should try it like this. Or it's a little bit harder when you have that bond of friendship because you don't know that you don't really want to hurt your friend's feelings. Mm-hmm. But from a professional standpoint, it's like, do you think this cutoff will work? Do you think this spot will work? I'll be like, no, I don't think that's working. Okay, what do you think we should do? How about this? Okay, we can try that. Yeah, let's give it a try tonight. If it doesn't work, we'll try it the other way tomorrow. Yeah, sure, that'll work. So it tended to actually make it a little bit easier, I think, for us than it is sometimes for some of the other teams.
Doing the transition from NXT to the main roster, what did you find the most difficult challenge? Was it the backstage environment? Was it working in front of the larger crowds, or what was the hardest transition for you?
I think really it was just the day-to-day versus the week-to-week as it was in NXT. With NXT, the TV tapings, you did one taping every month or every 6 weeks, or sometimes like 2 in a week, depending, and then you wouldn't do one for 3 months. It'd be that sort of thing. Whereas with the main roster, it was every single week you had TV. So it was kind of like the difference between sort of knowing where you're going week to week versus knowing you're not doing anything for 3 months. Like, if we do this TV taping and we have one match on it and we don't have an angle set up with it, you're like, okay, well, I know then for the next, 6 weeks of TV, 4 weeks of TV, whatever it winds up being, I know I don't have anything. Whereas on the main roster, it would be like, okay, do I have anything this week? No. Okay, well, we'll see next week where we're at. Do we got anything this week? No. Yes. Okay, we got something? All right, we'll see what we have. So it's really just sort of the difference, I think, between, like, NXT's kind of feast or famine when it comes to knowing what you're doing, whereas WWE, like, as a main roster, is more of a steady feed. You sort of have an idea of what you're doing week to week based on what you've been doing on house shows and things like that.
Gotcha. What do you, during the time off between those NXT tapings, what would you find yourself doing to help pass the time aside from, working in the ring and working out in the gym?
Not a whole lot, honestly. The thing is about being in NXT is it's a full-time job in the way that a lot of people might not understand. I mean, you train, you work out at the PC itself. Then, of course, you have extra things like extra training, promo classes, things like that. And then you still have the NXT house shows that you'll be working on, and those can vary. I mean, some weeks it would be us versus Blake and Murphy, or the Lucha Dragons, or Dawson and Wilder, Enzo and Cass. Like, there are so many tag teams in NXT that you would get a pretty good mix. So it just sort of depended on what you were doing that week. But you don't really have a whole lot of time to do much else. Every once in a while you get a weekend off, but even then it's like all you really want to do at that point is rest and relax because Monday's going to come and you got to be in that ring again.
Who did you really bond with anyone backstage? Because I was trying to do some research in preparation for the interview, and I saw that maybe it seemed like people felt like you rubbed them the wrong way. So I was wondering, what's your take on that? And then who did you bond with?
Well, the funny thing is, I've heard that before, but it's always these like fifth-hand reports on some dirt sheet that happened, and so the guy who's leaking the information might not have been a fan of me, but who knows who that is. But I traveled a lot and bonded with Apollo Crews, Kalisto, Mojo Rawley. Oddly enough, I always got along real well with Claudio, with Cesaro. Another example would be I keep my first reaction is to call him Brody, but Luke Harper. It's kind of a funny story. We were staying at the same hotel, me, Luke, and Rick Victor, and they happened to stop in at the Denny's, at the same one that I'd stopped at to get dinner, because obviously it's right across the street from the hotel. And we literally just sat there, chatted for a few hours, had our food, whatever, and someone had commented, it's like, you're kind of a weird guy. They didn't mean it in a bad way. They were just saying it. I was like, I'm not a weird guy. They said, oh, yeah, you are. And I went, Luke, you had dinner with me last night, right? He's like, yeah. So was that weird? No, not at all. I was like, see? So it was one of those things where I actually got along real well with Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton. Cena always seemed to get along with me. It's the weirdest thing. All it takes is one person saying something in public, and people tend to assume that it's 100% across the board. That's how it was. Mm-hmm. It'd be like if I go to a concert and I don't like the band and I'm reviewing the concert, I'll tell you, oh, this band sucks. There could be 65,000 people at the same concert who love the show, but you're just seeing the review that says from this one guy who happened to be there, oh, this band sucked. No one really likes them. Well, that's his opinion. That's not necessarily the opinion of everyone who's at the show.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we started the conversation with comic books, and you and I, we all clicked immediately.
and that's the thing, is that it's very unusual that you're not going to get along with someone. I've never met anyone who's absolutely that much of a jerk that they didn't get along with anyone. There's usually at least one person you'll get along with, even if you're the worst person in the world. I mean, you have to remember, even serial killers have friends. They're always some of the most monstrous people in history have someone who's like, oh yeah, he was a cool guy. We used to hang out all the time. Mm-hmm. So I try not to put much stock in the reports like that, because it's one of those things where if I personally am in the middle of it and I'm not seeing it, I don't know who would say it. Right.
And speaking of those reports, I overheard one of the air shoots that Ryback made, claiming he was not very fond of you. So I was wondering, was there something that happened backstage between you two, or is it just we're just two different people?
we had next to no actual contact. It's really funny because when someone was telling me this happened or that he was saying this stuff, I was like, that seems really unusual. I don't even remember talking to him all that much, if at all. I think we had like one conversation on a bus in England. So I looked it up and I tried to find what it was. And the thing he actually credited it to, so this is him saying this, is that his last day in the company, which I don't know it's his last day. I don't know he's going to quit. He's just another day to me. I interrupted him while he was talking to Dolph Ziggler. And I thought back, and I was like, if this is the conversation I'm thinking of, I think it was John Cohn or one of the guys from Talent Relations was literally looking for Dolph, and I just saw him. I was like, oh, hey, Dolph, I don't mean sorry to interrupt, but have you had a chance to talk to Cohn yet? And he said, oh, yeah, I already talked to him. I said, okay, cool. And that was it.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
I know. I literally even said, I don't mean to interrupt, but so it gets even better because when I'm trying to find this out, because I was like, was that it? Was that really all that happened? Because I didn't remember anything else happening, and that was the only one I could think of. I come across this article from some, I don't know, it was like What Culture or No DQ, one of those sites. And it's like, Ryback says he forgives CM Punk, life's too short to hold grudges. So I'm thinking of so all the stuff Punk has said over the years about Ryback, all the intensely negative, whether they were true or not, I'm not judging, I don't know, I wasn't there, but for all the things he said about Ryback that were pretty inflammatory, that's forgivable. But one time, I had the audacity to apologetically interrupt.
That's unforgivable.
How dare I? I'm the worst person in the world, I know.
Grudges shall be held. So, okay, obviously in light of recent weeks, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding John Bradshaw Layfield and Mauro Ranallo. I don't know if you have any insight in it, but you would probably have more insight than I personally because I don't get to be backstage. What was your take on the reports that came out as opposed to maybe your interactions with JBL and Mauro? Could you take us through that a little bit?
I couldn't really comment on it all that deeply because I had minimal to any interactions with JBL, usually just like a hi and a bye at the beginning and end of the day. I always got along real well with Mauro. We both are big fans of Japanese wrestling, so we could talk about that a lot. But once again, our conversations were always sort of wrestling or fighting based. We talk wrestling, we talk MMA. Occasionally, I would talk about how much I loved his brothers. I met his two brothers at WrestleMania in Dallas, and I was dying laughing the whole time because they're the most Canadian people I've ever met. If you've ever seen Strange Brew, the McKenzie brothers, they're like spot on the McKenzie brothers, and I guess one of them's a sheriff's deputy, the other one's a police officer. But they're word for word, they sound like the McKenzies, and I was just absolutely enamored with how hilarious it was. So I've always gotten along with Mauro. He's always been real cool with me. I've always liked him. I don't know if something happened or what happened. I don't know the extent of it. That's really kind of up to them to tell the story as they experienced it. I can't really add anything to it.
Okay. And of course, here recently you were granted a release. Would like to talk a little bit about that. What was the meeting like for your release? Was it an okay conversation? Is the door open for a future return? Would you even want to return? Kind of take us through that.
Well, it's kind of a funny story. It was Wednesday. It was the day after Smackdown at the arena here in Orlando. I go out to Korean barbecue. I come home. I put on the new episode of Attack on Titan, episode 1 for season 2, and episode ends. And I look at my phone, and I see I have a missed call from Mark Carano, and I'm like, well, I think I know what this is. So I called him back, and we had a conversation, and he basically said that the feeling was that the character had run its course, and the company wanted to exercise its right to terminate my contract early. And I agreed. I felt the character had run its course, and that that was probably the best course of action. And that was that. I don't know if a door would be open or closed to a return. Obviously, it's the old cliche in wrestling is to never say never. I mean, there have been plenty of guys in the past 10 years who've been released and then brought back. Jinder Mahal, good example. Kurt Hawkins, and Drew McIntyre even recently, where it's these people who a lot of guys probably would have said, oh, well, they'll never be back, they're done, whatever. And then, a few years later, tides change, they're looking for people, they know they can trust these guys. And also, if once again they believed that all I had to offer was this particular character, and they'd sort of used it to the extent they wanted to, then I have the opportunity now with my return to the independent scene in July to sort of show that I actually have a lot more to offer than just that.
Very cool. If New Japan, Impact, and Lucha called you on the same day and said, we want you to come work for us, who would you pick?
New Japan, in a heartbeat. I'm a huge fan of Japanese wrestling. It's always been my desire to work over there. It's really the thing I'm most passionate about when it comes to wrestling. There's some people, they want to sit down and they want to watch. For some people it's Shawn and Razor in the ladder match. For some people it's Hogan Andre at WrestleMania 3. For some people it's Flair Steamboat in any one of the 85 million matches they had that were amazing. But if you want to get me going, if you want to get me just super excited, you put on Misawa and Kawada or Kobashi and Akiyama or Kensuke Sasaki or Minoru Suzuki, one of those guys, and I'll be glued to the TV just in awe of the sheer ferocity of the matches. I mean, that's always been my thing.
Very cool. So with all of that's been said, what's next for you? You said that you'll be returning to the independent promotions in July. So do you have some already lined up?
I do have a few lined up already. I officially am free from my 90-day no-compete on July 8th. And at that point, I have some shows starting to get set up then. I'll actually be over in England for about 10 days at the end of July for XWA and Pro Wrestling Pride, which actually is kind of cool because I'll have the opportunity to wrestle Doug Williams, which is one of those things that I've always actually wanted to do. When I first started training, I'll throw this in here, in August of 2001 was when I started training, and at the time I was going to All Pro Wrestling in Hayward, California, famous from the Barry Blaustein documentary Beyond the Mat. Mm-hmm. And they did a tournament called King of the Indies, which wound up actually being kind of the prototype for Ring of Honor. A lot of the guys you saw in early Ring of Honor were first competing against each other really in King of the Indies. Guys like Daniel Bryan, Adam Pearce, Samoa Joe, Low Ki, Doug, AJ Styles, and all these guys would obviously eventually go on to be sort of the first generation of Ring of Honor guys. And there was a match. I had to be backstage for security. There's a match between Doug Williams and American Dragon, Daniel Bryan. And match finishes. I'm just hearing people cheering the whole time. Like, I can't see anything because where I'm standing. And they come to the back, and they're both just beaten and bloodied. And I'm like, oh, my God, what did I miss? Just as a fan, I was like, I didn't get to see it. Now I really want to see this match. And so it's kind of cool for me to finally get an opportunity to work with Doug, which is going to be happening on, I believe, July 28th.
Very cool.
Like you said, you want to wrestle Doug Williams. Is there some other guys that you're looking forward to wrestling?
Obviously, there's a lot out there right now that I'd really like to have an opportunity to work with. I'm good friends with Sami Callihan. Hoping to get a chance to work with him. Shane Strickland, Leo Rush. I mean, there are a lot of guys out there right now that are really just killing it. I mean, trying to pick one. I mean, and that's just Americans. It's not even counting. You got this wealth of British talent now that's come up. It's amazing. The guys in Mustache Mountain, obviously Trent Seven and Tyler Bate would be great ones to work with if I had the opportunity. I mean, there's so much talent in Japan as well. Katsuyori Shibata, Okada. I mean, just amazing guys over there. I mean, it's really like a buffet of talented wrestlers. I actually have to say, if you really look at it right now, the current era we're in has some of the widest spread talent in years. Just everywhere you go, there are guys who are good. It's not that, you can go to this promotion, but there's going to be one guy worth looking at and everybody else is kind of garbage. It's actually an era where you have so much talent around now. It's a lot more fun to work than it used to be.
Absolutely, and they all get to make their round, so if you don't get to fight them at this show, you go to this promotion next week and they'll be there. So exactly. It's really cool to see all the talent, and we wish you nothing but the best, and hope to see you at one of the shows down the road. Like I said, for all information, you can follow Simon on Twitter and Instagram, currently Gotch Style WWE. I saw one of the comments that one of your fans left, like, "Hey, I don't mean to rub you the wrong way or anything, but why don't you change it?" And you say, "Hey, it takes time to get that changed."
It does. If you have the verification, which selfishly, I mean, as a human being, I should be able to say it's just a blue check mark. It has no actual value. Yeah. But there's that part of me that goes, but I have the verification right now, and I'd almost rather take the time to just do it through the proper channels to get my handle changed. Because if you change your username, on Instagram or Twitter, when you have verification, it immediately revokes your verification. That's the first thing they do. So there's a part of me that goes, oh, I could just change it and then, reapply. But then there's part of me that goes, do you really want to go through that process, or should you just try and take the slower road and get it done by them? And so I'm trying to take the slower road for right now, but I'll probably just end up getting impatient and changing it anyway.
Very cool. Well, like I said, best of luck to you. Thank you again so much for coming on the show. We certainly do appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me, guys. It was a pleasure.
Now it's time to go into some hot topics for you all. We have some sad news this week. Former WWE superstar known as Rosie, it's Matthew Anoa'i. He passed away at the age of 47.
That was Roman's brother.
I didn't either until I saw it online. Yeah, he was the brother of Roman Reigns and was only 47 years old and passed away. I think they said he had 3 children.
Damn.
That is way too goddamn young for anybody to die.
Yeah.
That is still a relatively young man.
Mm-hmm. It's really sad to see, and our thoughts are certainly with the family.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That's something you never want to see. But outside of that, it was announced that the set for WrestleMania 33, the ramp, the giant globe, the roller coaster, all that, the cost of that, $5 million to produce that.
It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money for a stage.
A pocket change?
They could have saved all that money and just made it simple, but nope, they wanted to go have the ultimate thrill ride.
They could save more if they switched to Geico.
I don't think that's how that works.
They could have saved all that money, sold more tickets, and actually put as many people in that building as they said they'd do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
absolutely. In signing news, it's been reported that Mike Bennett and Maria have signed with WWE.
I guess the word is they're going to SmackDown.
Yeah, that's the rumor. So will we see it?
Need more hills.
We'll find out. Yeah. In injury news, Dash Wilder of the Revival over the weekend suffered a fractured jaw and is expected to be out for some time, and that's a tough blow because the Revival just came into the WWE main roster on Raw and started making an impact, and now they're out for some time.
That sucks.
It does. So hopefully they'll come back better than ever. Throw those fists, get right back to it. Say yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Give me that through the wire Kanye West style promo. I want that through the wire promo.
Huh?
Through the Wire? Kanye West, Through the Wire? That was like his first huge single.
Oh.
Off his first album. You don't know Through the Wire?
I mean, I might.
He fucking rapped the whole song with his mouth wired shut. Like he's through the wire means he's spitting out through the wire. You know?
I heard about the story, but I didn't know about the song.
That's a good ass song.
I need to listen to it.
That's a good ass song. You should listen to that song.
The outro?
What? No. So, final bit of injury news. Shelton Benjamin claiming he is actually a free agent, saying, quote, "I am not signed to WWE."
I'm also a free agent, too. So.
Bear is free agent. If anyone out there wants to pick him up, take him off our hands, please, by all means. We get, how much do we get? 10% each?
You don't get anything. What are you talking about?
Dude.
You get something from this show?
No, like, if someone wants to get him.
Oh.
No, they don't give shit.
We can't get anything for that.
We're your agent, sir.
We can't get anything for that. We got to give that away.
We've got to take what we can get.
Make us an offer.
Yeah, make us an offer we can't refuse. See where we go from there. So that's pretty much going to do it for us this week. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure to comment on if you think SmackDown should get 3 hours or not, or stay at 2.
To Simon Grimm.
Absolutely. Big thanks to former WWE Superstar Simon Gotch, Simon Grimm, for coming on to the show. We certainly appreciated it. And for all of our listeners, if you have any questions for us, feel free to leave it on our YouTube channel, WNSvideo, our Facebook page, WNS Podcast. You can check us out on WrestlingNewsSource.com and WrestlingNewsSource.com on Facebook. And you can subscribe to our show on iTunes by searching Wrestling News Source Podcast.
We're on Stitcher, Beyond Pod, Player.fm, and Satchel. Just search Wrestling News Source Podcast to find us.
I drink a shake for breakfast, an ensure for dessert. Somebody order pancakes, I just sip the scissor. Where we at? Oh,
at the Twitters?
Oh, hey, the Twitters. I don't know what Kanye, I'm sure he's at Kanye West. I mean, he doesn't need any more followers. You can follow us at WNS Podcast. Daniel's at WNS_Daniel. Tyler's at Tyler_Aber.
There you go. For the podcast crew, I am Daniel Heron.
Tyler Aber.
I'm Doug.
And we will catch you all next week.